Hi, this is Chip,
And this is Christiana.
and this is the second installment of our Hikes in Madeira series.
You may notice that I did not join Chip on the first hike, and you will also notice that I did not join him on the second hike. I'm realizing that, what am I realizing? That I don't like the hikes here at all, and I wouldn't recommend them to anyone. The roads are steep. The cliffs are treacherous.
This hike is in the middle of the island, and it goes from the third highest peak, Pico Areeiro, to the highest peak, Pico Ruivo.
It is literally the highest point on the island.
The beginning point at Pico de Areeiro is the home of an air defense radar system, which was built in 2011. So it's kind of a strange thing to see as you're driving up to what turns out to be a very lovely hike. From many points on the hike, you can see the ocean both to the north and to the south. So you're literally going along this ridge line that's kind of the spine of the island. There are several tunnels during this hike. It cuts through a number of basalt cliffs, and so rather than trying to carve out some treacherous little path along the edge of the cliff, they just went through the rock in several points. And these are probably a couple of 100 meters long. The day that I did the hike, it was probably 70, 75 in Funchal, the main city. Up at the mountains, it was probably 10 degrees cooler than that. But once you're in those tunnels, they're kind of wet and clammy and probably dropped yet another 10 or 15 degrees. So if you're doing this hike, you probably want to bring some layers that you can pull on or strip off as the conditions require. The hike is generally along a very well-maintained trail, but there are certain points where there have been rock falls, and they warn about being aware of rock falls. I'm not sure what you're going to do about it. If a 2-ton piece of basalt is coming for you, that you're going to be able to get out of the way. But nonetheless, there are a few places where the trail is a bit obstructed by the rock falls, as well as by some sort of overgrown vegetation.
What was most surprising about the hike?
The most surprising thing about the hike is the elevation change between the start to the middle to the end, and then back to the middle and back to the return, is over a kilometer of elevation change.
And you're saying, so it's sort of like a V shape. You start at one top of the V, you go down and up to the peak, and then you turn around and you retrace your steps. It isn't a circular path, it's over and back.
Exactly. It's point A to point B to point A again. And
tell us about that.
Well, there are a lot of hikes that I've done that are this kind of hike, where it is that you begin and end at the same point. Often on those hikes, the return seems like it is easier than, or quicker than, going out.
Because you know the terrain.
Right, exactly. You've seen it before, and so you
know what to expect.
Yeah.
Was that your experience of this hike?
No, no.
Would you care to elaborate?
This hike is an ass kicker. It was the way out was fine. It was definitely a challenging hike, and there are a lot of really steep parts of the hike where they have ladders and stairs, but almost more like ladders. They're so steep. And so you get to the end of the hike and you get up to the top of Pico Ruivo. There's a small shrine and really great views of the island. And you can actually see across to the radar station, which is at that point probably 3.5, 4 miles away, which is the start of the trail. And it's kind of, as you're looking, it's hard to imagine exactly the route that one took, because it's just the landscape is so choppy and full of ridges and whatnot.
And in terms of hikes that you've done in your life, would you rate this as one of the most challenging on a scale of 1 to 10?
For a one-day hike, yeah. I mean, yeah, for a one-day maybe 8-mile hike. It was, yeah, it was definitely had a lot, the most elevation gain I think I've had in a hike of that distance.
Gain and loss.
Gain and loss and gain and loss.
and
Loss and gain. You know, I wasn't trying to set a land speed record or anything, but it took me a good 7 hours with breaks for snacks and water. I started the hike right about sunrise, and which at that point was probably about a little before 8 o'clock. And I started heading back a little after noon, maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock. And it's interesting, at that point in the day, the clouds start to roll in this case from the north. And so you're walking along a ridge, and to your left, to the north, is this bank of clouds, and to the right, which is to the south, it's clear.
So you would suggest a morning start?
Yeah, there are a lot of people that go up specifically for that, just to go see the sunrise. When I got up there were a bunch of people heading back to their buses and cars just to head back to Funchal. But you definitely don't want to be hiking back at sunset. That would be a big mistake. Do you have any news?
Well, we hope that you've been enjoying our explorations of Madeira. We've been here almost 6 months now, and our stay is rapidly drawing to a close as we head out day after tomorrow back to the mainland. So
we're heading back to the Lisbon area where we'll be for a few weeks, and then fingers crossed we will be getting back to Oregon for about 5 weeks and see our family and friends for the first time in a year and a half. It's been a long haul. We have been in Portugal since early February 2020.
Which is the start of COVID, essentially.
Yeah, we've been here the entire time. We've been obviously in lots of different parts of Portugal, and it's a very interesting, diverse country, but we have not left the border of Portugal since February 2020, so we're looking forward to it.
So we'll be in the States for about 5 weeks, and
plan our next move.
So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us on this adventure, and we look forward to sharing more with you as our plans unfold.
Yes, you'll be the first to know. All right, thanks.
Bye.
See ya. So I'm down at the water park that I joined for, I think, €32 for 30 visits. And I wanted to come down here for one last bit of information before we depart Madeira. One thing that Madeira is known for, and particularly the city of Funchal, the firework display on New Year's Eve. The city is built basically as an amphitheater around a bay, and it's about a 4-mile long amphitheater. On New Year's Eve at midnight, the entire city, the entire amphitheater lights up with fireworks. So enjoy the following minute and a half or so of about a 10-minute display, which was just breathtaking. We've never seen anything like it, so enjoy.